Here's Game of Thrones, Season 2, Episode 4, titled Garden of Bones. This is an episode that's really about what is power and what do you do if you have it. So first of all, what really is power? And then if you have it, what do you do if you have it? For some, you become a monster like Joffrey, who tortures 2 girls for fun after Tywin embarrasses him. That's the bottom line of what this bad teenager is doing when he has power. And even he says himself, the king can do what he likes, and that's a very, very dangerous way to be. And I think that sometimes this is what happens in our society sometimes, and I think it's very, very dangerous that this is what power is. Power is something that is generally in the wrong hands, and there's a lot of thematics that are very similar to the Wire, and it really is. This show is very, especially season 2. Season 2 is a lot like The Wire in many ways, which is a far better show in my opinion because it's more stuck in reality. But kudos to Game of Thrones for really nailing some really, really sharp themes and really, really hard themes to talk about. So you got Stannis versus Renly, who are basically Stringer Bell versus Avon Barksdale in so many ways. They both are on the same size, but they both have their own ideological differences of what power is. And Stannis thinks that power must be done with logic, just like Stringer Bell does. Whereas Renly is basically power is always emotional. It's all about your environment, about the streets, or about about where you come from. It's a very, very emotional thing. Whereas Stringer always was trying to teach Avon that basically be logic about this, be a businessman, be like everybody else. But Avon basically could never do that, and I actually did both of them in, and because they both had very different ideological differences about what power is, and this is what these 2 characters are going through as well. So it's kind of cool to see the very similar parallel. I don't know what came first, the book or the Wire show, but it's almost like to the T the same thing. But I guess what the difference between the Wire and Game of Thrones is that Game of Thrones is set in a fantasy world, and there is hope, and because it's set not in the real world, whereas The Wire is so much in the real world where they can't be idealistic about things. So this is a show a lot about love, and perhaps that's what it's all about. Maybe that's what power is. It's all about love. The theme of the show, of this episode, is that the more love you have, the better leader with power you can be. And if you don't have it, then you are doomed. And think of Tywin, who's a great leader, but his father and sister hate him for killing their wife and daughter, mother respectively, because he took that love away from them in their world and their deluded heads. Because when he was born, she died, and it seems like they've lost that love, so they don't even want any love anymore, which has set up a lot of horrible things that happen to many people, especially Joffrey, who was raised without love, it seems. And that's what happens, is that love will take care of things if you really embrace it, and if you lose it, you got to deal with it. And if you're like Tywin's sister and father who don't deal with it, a lot of damage can happen, and that's what this happens in this little universe of Game. That's my review.